Hi guys, it's Mark from the SK68 in France. Today the before born Savage Flux XL. They claim it's new truck, but nope. It's the same truck that we see at the Nuremberg Toy Fair in 2019. We are 2 years later. This truck is the same that we get for 50 or 20 years. At the beginning we get a fast upgrade at transmission case, because with the brushless power it was too much for the truck. We destroyed at each run the main gears, so they put harder gears in there. Then we destroyed dog bones and diff outputs, so they do beefier from that wise. After that we still have a big problem. This car has no center diff, it has just a sleeper, but the sleeper was a weak sleeper, so at each wrong landing after jumps or some stuff or too hard on throttle, you destroy the rear differential, sometimes the front. For 50 years really I was out on the field anytime with a complete car in spare part, and when we was really with the wrench the half of the time. We was running, destroying, repair, running the whole day. That was normal. No one claims. We feed back to the brand and tell them, please can you do that or that, and then we wait patiently, and then with the time the most from then get a little bit better, but not really, never at the point we want. They beefed up also the diffs with beefier tools in sintered gears. Was also not enough, so they go up to machined gears, but the price was really high, and the truck was already high priced in Europe. It was the high priced monster truck you can get. The electronic was cool, the servo was bad, the radio system was a working radio system, was okay. I love the fact that the old TF40 you can change the dual rate from this brake and from the throttle, so you can, even it was a long time ago, just using a screwdriver and put the power down to 10% to give the truck to your kid, so he can drive without any fear to destroy something. Because after the box this beast was driving about more than 90 kilometers an hour with a 5.5 to 6 kilogram for the HP and 6.5 to 7 kilogram for the XL version, especially when you change the tires. The stock tires from HPI are lightweight, 310 grams. The profile is also relatively soft. You have not much grip, but this is okay for monster truck. You have not too much power to go forward, so you not lift too fast. You also not have too much sidewise grip to not overroll too fast. They can really make big pizza without any explosion. Back in the time it was the best tire you can get for a monster truck. You can handle really many stuff. Myself, I destroy perhaps 1 or 2 tires on 20. So it's, I don't like the profile, but I like the endurance from these tires. If you put monster truck tires on it, you have much weight. So think on it, if you put heavier tires to gear down, if you put brighter tires with more grip to gear a little bit down, if the tires are bigger in diameter, also think to gear down. Back in the time, I think really that the car was over geared out from the box. I prefer to drive with the smallest pinion I could get in, was a 70 or 18 tooth. Stock was coming with 20, and you have also a speed gear with 24 to go over 110 kilometers an hour. In between, HPI goes down 2 or 3 times. Every time they come back, there was buy it up by another group. There was higher in price, but we get nothing better. Now they changed the main gear. This is why I get one. Because they changed something in the laydown in the truck. We have still the same front and rear axle with the same old problems. I'm gonna speak about it. In between they have done the HPI Savage 5 SC Flux, whereas the best idea they can get, he has a center differential. You can still buy it by Rowan. I don't know if the quality is really so good, the HPI version, but I want to try it. I'm gonna put this center diff in this car, so I have a center diff and a sleeper, and a good sleeper, because that's also something they upgrade at the 5SC Flux. You get a better sleeper. At that point we can tell a real sleeper, because the old sleeper was really bad. So I'm really gonna put here thick oil, so I can use the sleeper soft. And with 3 differential and sleeper you're gonna get a real bash car who can hit really hard landings in any position. Because don't forget, if you have no center diff, if you land on the rear or on the back, you do the same as landing on all 4 corners. That means you immediately lock the motor and the transmission, so you anytime put heavy shocks in your transmission and motors. That's why we love to have multi-disc sleepers who works really fine, who provide that you lock this transmission. And I personally like to get a center diff in my monster truck with heavy oil, so I can land on the rear end, on the front end, and the power can go a little bit smoother on the other parts from the transmission before I lock it and when I go down. I also hope we have the same plastic, or even better plastic, that back in the time. The plastic was not bad at that point, it was way better than Traxxas, but you still need RPM parts when you drive the car harder. The RPM parts are still available. I think they're gonna pull it out again, and I really hope that the plastic here are not better than it was back in the time. The body looks nice, awesome. I really like the color play they do. It's matte color, so it's clear, it's outside, so if you're gonna roll over, you're gonna really fast have a no more so cool to look car. But it's just a body. You can put unbreakable body on it, Proline stuff, Parma stuff, what you want. What I don't understand, why so much brands do 2 short bodies. If you look, if you put it really in the right place, look at this. I really miss here so much from the body long, so a king cab would be a better choice. So I'm gonna look for something who looks like that. The Savage Flux has the longest wheelbase from 1/8 scale monster trucks with the TMS or Rival or MGT4 or what you want from that brand rebranded. I think this one looks better. I'm gonna give this to someone who make unbreakable body, this one also. And to show you, look at this, even the same Ripper body, it's too big, but not so much. So you have an idea from the wheelbase from this car. The most monster trucks has 370, 380, and this one is really one from the longest. However, like it was back in the time, the Lexion from HPI is really flimsy, and we all know what's gonna happen. By overroll, we're gonna destroy the body post here, the pins gonna go through the body, we're gonna kill the angles, we're gonna kill here the pickups, the screws from the shocks gonna bore themselves holes in the body, and we also know that these M3 screws gonna bend because they even gonna hit the ground when you overroll. So back in the time I put here M4 screws because the stock shocks has plastic balls, so I bore all to 4mm and put 4mm screws. We used PVC plates, we just put in place here using the back screws here and go over the shocks to make a rounded protection to not destroy so fast that part. Back in the time we had a roll bar or handlebar and the ESC was back here. So they move the SC back in the front, so we have all the weight more in the front. That's also cool. It's way easier to drive, so we not go so much on wheelie. But they forget something. Because of the new chassis, they do it simpler. Back in the time you get the nitro chassis, the brushless chassis, then comes the two-stroke chassis. And you had the HPI version, the HP short version in nitro and brushless. In long you get the brushless, nitro and two-stroke. Now you only get the two-stroke chassis for all three versions. I don't know if they even were gonna make back the two-stroke. Maybe they're just gonna make only just the brushless version. And the main issue here is that when you're gonna hit here hard, you're gonna kill your ESC. That's really not good. I don't like that. I like the new slipper clutch. I hope I get the dog bones and wheel hubs and diff hubs are the same and back in the time, because I never had issue with that. I hope that, I said before, that the plastic is still the same or a little bit better. It feels like different, and we also see, I have here old parts from an HPI Savage Flux. I see some difference. The plastic feels softer, and they also molded a little bit different. I hope it's not the Warren plastics. We still have, for that high price here in Europe, the old plastic shock. For that price I want to have the Teflon bead bores. We also have the same issue at the bumpers. When you hit, the arms here goes up and the upper arm holder falls out. The latest HPI version I get has here some little caps on there to provide this movement, because you has a HPI optional sway bar, and with this sway bar you get some little caps here to screws here to hold the sway bar. And my latest HP Flux I buy, I get this without having the sway bar. I just get it on here. I miss them. This is not the RTR. Thanks OZRC from Australia, because he sold me this roller. I don't want the original RTR. I don't want the radio system, because I don't like it, and the 10 kilo servo. Who gonna put now at this time in a 6 to 7 kilogram heavy truck, it means 50 pounds, a 10 kilogram servo? Stop to take the owners as dumb. So that's, I love this truck. I love HPI, but this is something I really, I want to squeeze them when they do some stuff. That's for all brands. I love Hobau, but Hobau the last time do crap. I love Traxxas. Traxxas always make good stuff and crap stuff. And we have this with many brands. And this is really boring. Plastic servo horn and 10 kilogram servo is bullshit. I don't want to see any more of that. Then I finally do a new receiver box. One moment please, here it is. The old receiver box has a joint over there, but a big hole underneath, also like the jump shot. In the jump shot, it's such a joke to see a rubber over the gear, the receiver box, to make it waterproof, and underneath you have a hole like this finger to put the wire out. Totally crazy. Here you have not that hole, you have like on Traxxas here something to put the wire in, but this is the rubber you become with. This is something I tell them for 2 years ago. I asked them if they think we are stupid. Look at that. You miss a centimeter of rubber here. 2 years later, still the same shit. So the water can goes in, but would be closed in there. That's so boring. It would be okay if this would be a low price car, but for 850 euro, regarding this, by us in France you can get a Nix Max for 1000. This is really bad. This is really bad. I can't understand that from HPI. They really do a the basic same mistakes again and again, and as they say, we released a new HPA Savage Flux. I was excited. I think, yeah, they do it. They do a smaller gearbox. They do a smaller chassis plate. They do better shocks, better steering, better bumpers, better body, and nothing. Nothing is. The price is growing up to 100 euros, but you get the same. You no more have Castle C, you have a Hobbying C and motor. That's okay. No problem with that. It's the main changement is here. You get another gearbox, who is put it out to the right, so the motor is more in the middle, and you see here the transmission is more on the left side. We get back in the time a straight transmission, but this caused even problem here for move the motor in and out, and the motor was really at the right side. Yes, here in the back left. This is better. And they still also use these old screws, but I love them because these are plastic screws, and you have a really beefy thread in the plastics that holds really well. The alloy also seems to be a little bit different. I think it's not hardened, and I'm a little bit concerned because this is a heavy truck, and you all know what happens with TVP. When you land hard, you can get that one. So I'm sure you still find many options for this truck. That's the good point, because this truck is already in the market since 50 or more years. So yeah, more, this is maybe 20 years that we get the HPI Savage Flux. I must get on the internet to check it out. Can you please do it, guys? Go quick on Google and tell me when the first Savage was released and the first Savage Flux was released. The other thing make me think is, did I get here the machined gears we get at the latest Savage XL Nitro and 2-stroke version, or did we get the cold sintered? The cold sintered are not tough enough. I'm gonna break it. If it's the machined, regarding that I will use the center diff here, I'm sure I will have no more issue with the transmission. That's why I buy it. I really want to back from Arma a Nero Big Rock 6S. Please, Arma, do it, or do a Granite 1/8 scale. Do something. We want to see a four-wheel drive monster truck from Arma, not more any muggy. We want a monster truck. The idea with the multi-disc slipper clutch and the center diff was awesome. We want to see it back. So I know when I'm gonna put my electronic in here, I'm gonna be happy with the truck like I was for 50 or 20 years. Even if I had a breakdown, I will really enjoy to find back the smoothness of the suspension from the HPI and this big suspension throttle. That's really what I like it the most on that truck. Another little weak point are the bearing outputs from the diffs here sidewise, because they not use 5mm bright bearing but only 4mm. Regarding that, these dog bones and the drive cups are really hard and really endurance. When you hit hard on the side, the dog bone go in the drive cup and shock the differential, and you can destroy the bearing or the gear in the diff. Many times happens to us that we explode the planetary gear in two parts. The pin just cut the part in two. So I hope really that I have really cool steel in there. From the other side, my drive style has changed, so maybe I'm not gonna be so hard at throttle as I was back in the time. And here, for a little bit comparison, I have also bought the eRevo 2, because this is what Traxxas does at 2021, and this is what HPI do to 2021. This is an old war. This is a two-generation war about Traxxas and HPI. HPI had the better driveline back in the time and the better plastics. They had the same motor, same ESC, same shitty servos. The Traxxas tire was really bad. The HPI tires was better. So we're gonna see what happens now. Traxxas does the biggest job to upgrade the car, but they have now a bad motor, still bad servos, still a bad rear end. The price is also still high, but the transmission is better, and the plastics from the new Traxxas are really, I had to say it, it's my opinion because I tested. The plastics from the new Traxxas generation, E-Revo or X-Max Max are better than the RPM version. For me, I tested, I have RPM breakdowns, I had no stock original Traxxas arm breakdowns. This car is still in a match because of the better tires and the all-rise from the construction, the all suspension. For the rest, should I try it stock with the loose differential and the original body, no protection here? I think not. I'm gonna put here a 1500 kV motor with an ADAS setup, not to go faster than the 6S version, but this car, when it's finished with the Pro tires or the Louis MFT tires, gonna weigh about 7 kilograms or more, so the 6S gonna be at the limits from nice driving for the car, for what I do, for what I like. So maybe I'm gonna go to ADAS, a light ADAS system. I'm gonna drive the stock tires, but I surely gotta put the Pro blockade on the truck. I'm gonna put an unbreakable body. I'm gonna put a real servo here and there, and I'm gonna put what we do back in time, tie wraps at the bumpers. I'm gonna organize these caps to not lose my pins. I'm gonna put also, that's something you should do on many trucks, a little tie wrap between the spring retainer and the spring, because you see it here, when you hit something you can lose this spring retainer. That happens on many brands, it's not just HPI. We have really many brands who have this issue with that. I would say for that price I want to have the big bores stock original. I want to have a protection for my ESC. I want to have a 2x better body. I want to have more action for that price. I want to get protection here and a real servo. For 850 euro, it's what I like to have. Do what you want, but this is my opinion. And if I hate this truck, it would not be here. I love it. Bye guys, have a nice day.